Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kat. So for this video, I just wanted to talk about my plans for doing another reading vlog. I did my first reading vlog with the Mindfuck series, and I really enjoyed detailing my experience with that series and just kind of talking about it and giving my commentary as I was reading a certain amount of pages at a time. And I kind of wanted to do it again because I really had fun doing a reading vlog. So I decided to do it with a book that I'm really anticipating. It's called My Best Friend's Exorcism, and it's by Grady Hendrix. I really love this cover. It's so, I don't know, old school horror. So this book is basically about two best friends, and I guess one of the friends gets possessed, and it's up to the other friend to save her and release her friend from her possession. I know we're past the spooky season, or the horror month of October. Halloween's over and whatnot, but I feel like there's no wrong time to read a horror novel, or any genre really. You can read any genre any time of the year. So yeah, I am excited, and I'll see you in the next clip. Bye. Hi guys. So just checking in with my reading of My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I got through about a fourth of it, I would say. So I'm on page 111 out of 330, I think. So far, it's interesting, I would say, is the best word to describe it. So what happens so far is we learn about Gretchen and Abby's friendship, starting when they were 10 years old up until now when they're 16, I believe, and just kind of how their friendship has evolved and how they've changed as people and their interests have changed and who they were and who they are now. And so we get a glimpse into their friendship and just the growth and evolution of it. Gretchen and Abby and two of their other friends, they decided to take an acid trip and for Gretchen it went wrong. It was a bad trip, and she gets lost in the forest or woods. Her friends couldn't find her. That whole night she was lost in the woods until the very next morning, and then the next morning when Gretchen comes back, she's not herself. She's very different, she's unstable, she's irritable, moody, and more confrontational, so just not her usual self. Abby right now is really confused because she doesn't know what's happening to her best friend, and other people in her school are also very confused because they don't recognize this Gretchen. So far it's good, I would say. Grady Hendrix has a unique style of writing, I would say, a lot of social commentary type of writing. I read Grady Hendrix' book, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires or something like that, and I did enjoy that book a lot, and this book kind of seems very similar to that in terms of the social commentary. It's just from a younger person's point of view. This book is set in the 80s, and there's a lot of nostalgia. It's very, very nostalgia heavy, and I do not really understand a lot of the references made in this book. I don't understand a lot of the fashion trends, and I just overall can't really grasp the nostalgia that's happening in this book because I didn't grow up in the 80s. I don't really understand much of that decade. I know some of the decade from pop culture references, but I don't know it the way Grady Hendrix is writing about it. So I feel like because I don't really understand the references and whatnot, and it's just so heavy on the nostalgia of the 80s, I have been having a bit of trouble trying to get into the book and immerse myself into it. If it was some nostalgia here and there, I'd feel like I'd be okay, and it wouldn't be hard to get into the book, but because it's so nostalgia heavy, it's hard to really immerse myself into a book that I don't really understand that much because I don't understand the references made, I don't understand the style, the fashion trends. Not that I have to understand it, but there's just so much focus on these things. There's so much focus on the trends of the 80s, the movies, the music of the 80s, the pop culture, just the culture of the 80s. There's so much focus on it that it makes it a little difficult to, of course, relate, but also just to get into it. But I do appreciate the nostalgia, I do appreciate these references, and I do appreciate the 80s decade, the way it's being explained by Grady Hendrix. I can appreciate it, but it's just hard to really immerse myself as a reader into this book. Regardless about all the nostalgia stuff, it is still a good book. So far, I just want to read more about like the demonic possession part of it. I honestly, I don't care too much about the references and the nostalgia. I just want to read more about like the demonic possession and what they're gonna do. I do also appreciate the friendship between Abby and Gretchen. They have a strong bond. They're very close. They're like sisters, but they do live two different lives. Abby isn't well off, but Gretchen is well off. There's just some differences between those two, but their friendship seems to still prevail despite it. So I do like their friendship and how strong it is. I do love books with like strong friendship dynamics. I think it's just cute and wonderful. Hopefully I can get into it more, and hopefully they start talking more about the demonic possession. But on that, I will see you guys in the next clip. Bye. Hey guys, so just checking in with my reading for my best friend's Exorcism. So I actually finished this book. I finished a majority of it yesterday, and this morning I just had like maybe like 5 pages left, so I finished it. And I'm just here to give my thoughts. Picking up from where I last left off, the rest of the book is basically about Gretchen, just her attitude changing and just how her behavior is changing and how she's treating Abby like shit, basically, and how she's terrorizing a lot of the other friends in their friend group. And towards the end, Abby enlists an exorcist to help exorcise the demon out of Gretchen, and some of the methods he utilized were very brutal in a sense, so Gretchen had to stop him, and then she ended up exorcising the demon herself in a kind of funny way. Eventually Gretchen went back to normal, but Abby was a suspect in a lot of crimes that Gretchen committed when she was possessed by the demon, so Abby had to go through like the trials and whatnot. But she was not sent to jail because the exorcist, he came out and kind of took the blame and the fall for everything. Anyways, fast forward into their lives, it kind of talks about how Abby and Gretchen, they started becoming more distant. They talked often, then they went off to college. Abby moved to New York, and they attended separate colleges, and then they started their own lives. Like Abby got married, she had a kid, and just kind of like the ebb and flow of their friendship, and how during Abby's last moments, Abby died, Gretchen was by her side. So that's kind of how the whole book ended. I think I've come to realize that I'm not like a huge fan of satire or satirical writing. I just think it's not something I get into that easily, so I wasn't that entertained by the book. Also, like I mentioned in the previous clip, it's very nostalgia heavy, so there's a lot of 80s references and like just a lot of references that I did not understand, nor did I know what they were, and it just kind of made it hard to get into the book because I just didn't know what these brands were or what these fashion trends were, or the music. Like I did recognize some of the music, but overall like I didn't get all the references, so it was a little hard to really engage with the story. But I feel like if you are somebody who did grow up with these 80s nostalgic things, you will probably find the book entertaining because you'll understand what is being mentioned. It was funny. There were moments of humor throughout the book. Even during the serious moments of the book, it was still funny. There was a lot of teenage angst and teenage drama and girl drama and stuff like that, and I think it was nicely explored, especially for that time in the 80s. It's so interesting to see the difference of like how they were, like Gretchen, Abby, and their friends, how they were teens in the 80s, and then how I was a teen in the 2010s. So it was just kind of interesting to see the decade difference. It gave a lot of Jennifer's Body vibes. Like if you've watched the movie Jennifer's Body, it felt like I was reading Jennifer's Body essentially. So it definitely gave off a lot of Jennifer's Body vibes, and I did really enjoy Jennifer's Body. That movie was great. I do have to say the pacing was a bit slow. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be, or as much as I hyped it up to be in my head. There was a lot more focus on Gretchen and Abby's friendship dynamic and just overall their friend group than on the demonic possession. If you were kind of like me and think this book is going to be scary because it has demonic possession involved, it's not. It is a great fall book, I would say. Like, I think it's a great book to read during the fall time. I did also enjoy the ending of this book because it talked about kind of like how Gretchen and Abby's friendship played out. They were best friends, you know, since they were 10 up until 16, and then Abby moved out and they just kind of started living their own lives. Like, they went to separate colleges, and then Abby got married and she had a kid and everything like that, and they didn't stay in contact all the time, just here and there, and they kind of just grew apart in a sense. But during Abby's final moments, before she passed away, Gretchen was still there by her side. So it kind of shows that even though their friendship wasn't as constant as before and they didn't keep in constant contact, their friendship still like lasted. Sometimes we as young people assume that our friendships are gonna last forever and ever and ever, and we're gonna be best friends and we're gonna talk every day, and that's just not, you know, the reality. Sometimes friends don't, or best friends don't always talk, or time goes by and there's no contact, but I still believe that you can still remain friends with somebody. I just think it was awesome that it showed that Gretchen and Abby had all these plans of being best friends forever, but reality kind of set into their lives. So that was pretty cool too, because that is usually the nature of most friendships. But overall, I thought it was a good average book, nothing special. It definitely did not live up to the hype in my head, but that's okay. I'm still happy I read it and I gave it a chance, and I still want to read more of Grady Hendrix's other books. I do want to give trigger warnings for SA and mention of SA and animal death. But other than that, guys, hopefully you guys are having a great end of the year, and especially end of the reading year. Let me know what you guys are reading, and I love doing these reading vlogs, so I might do some more on another random book. But on that, I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.